Welcome to Roofing Uncovered, the podcast where we talk about roofs without going over your head. I'm your host, Dustin Brooks, and we are here to uncover everything commercial and industrial roofing. We'll cut through the jargon, we'll get to the good stuff, safety, sustainability, innovation, whatever's shaping our industry's future. Whether you're an architect, business owner, facility manager, or roofing contractor, this will be packed with insights, packed with knowledge to help you in your business. Let's get started. All right, today we are going to talk about the 4 R's of roofing. What do I mean by the 4 R's of roofing? Picture it this way. You're a maintenance manager at a large industrial plant, a large industrial factory, and your roof is leaking. That's a problem, right? You've got buckets inside, it's leaking onto expensive equipment. It's a problem. One of two things typically happens when your roof starts to leak. You say, hey, we need to get this fixed now, or gosh, we need a new roof. Another thing may happen. You may hop up on your roof and you look at it, you're like, this just doesn't look good. This looks like it's in rough shape. It's showing signs of failure. Something doesn't look right here. It's not leaking, but again, the mind goes to, I need a new roof. So when I break down the 4 R's of roofing, think about that. Put yourself in that situation. You're that maintenance person at a large industrial plant. You've got a leaking roof or a roof that just doesn't look right. What do you do? And so I break it down into your options. You have repair, you have restoration, restore, you could recover, or you could replace. What's the difference between those 4 R's? And that's what I want to break down in this episode. Let's start with repair. Repair is what the word says. It's patching. It is fixing. It is repairing. It is just taking care of that localized issue. So if the roof's leaking, typically the first thing is, let's get it repaired. Let's stop the water from coming into the building. Let's fix what's wrong. And so a repair is a localized, short-term patch. It could be a long-term repair. It may be a newer roof that maybe leaked since the first day you got it in. It's because something was not detailed right. Something was done wrong, and that needs to be repaired. And it needs to be repaired in a way that's long-term. So repair is what you think of with the analogy of it's a Band-Aid. Let's just fix it. As far as an existing old roof goes, that's what you think. But if it's a new roof, it needs repaired with a long-term method. We're not going to get into the details and weeds on that, but that's your first R. Is your roof's leaking, something doesn't look right, let's get it repaired. Now, that's obviously going to be your least expensive option. So if you've got a roof with lots of leaks or it keeps leaking again and again because it's really old or past that useful life, it's going to start adding up. It causes issues with equipment inside. It could be causing interior damage. You could be having mold develop inside. So if you just keep repairing over and over, I use another analogy. People say, I'm just going to patch this for a couple of years and just kick that can down the road until we have the money to replace the roof. Well, if you think about that, when you're kicking the can down the road, every time you kick it, you put another dent in the can. Next thing you know, you kick that can over and over and over again, that can is destroyed. And there's no way you can just fix and restore that can back to any sort of original condition. It's shot, it's done, and you have to get a new can. So same thing with a roof. You just patch. Eventually you ignore the issue long enough to then your only option is a replacement. So that's the first R. It's inexpensive. Let's stop the leak. Let's make repairs and get it to the next phase. Restoration. We could restore the roof. What does that really mean? Restoration is we're giving new life to an existing roof. So obviously here today, we're talking about flat roofs. We're talking about low slope roofs. We're not talking about shingled roofs or tiled roofs or what you would have on a home. We're talking about flat roof membranes, low slope metal roofs. So restoration is giving new life to an existing roof. We're restoring it to its original condition. You could kind of think of it like that. So a restoration would be we're taking that old roof and giving it new life by putting a protective coating on top of it. We're restoring it. Now, first, you need to repair it. Anything that may be bad flashings, bad drain details, you've got holes, you have tears, splits, punctures, shrinkage, whatever it is, you patch those and then you restore it. So what that restoration does is it stops the UV degradation of the current roof system that you have, stops it in its tracks, because now you have a new layer on top of that. That's taking all that UV damage. That's becoming your sacrificial protective layer. And while you're not providing yourself a new roof, you don't have a new membrane, you don't have a new waterproofing layer, you're taking the existing waterproofing layer that you have and you're restoring it, you're extending its life into a point to where you can do something different. Now, restoration is that step up as far as costs. Obviously, just patching is the cheapest thing. Restoring it is going to be your most economical option, where you want to do something with the entire roof, you want to extend its life, you can restore it. Now, realistically, I'll be honest with you, a true restoration system might buy you 5 years. It could buy you 10. Some parts of the country, some parts of the world, it might buy you 15. But realistically, you have to think about it from a standpoint is a restoration is we're just protecting the existing roof from the UV. We're not providing a new membrane. We're not improving hail resistance. We're not improving puncture, impact, foot traffic resistance. So you're still relying on that roof membrane you have now, whether it's asphalt, PVC TPO, EPDM, metal, whatever it is, that's still your primary layer of defense. You're using that to make sure that screwdrivers don't puncture through and cause a leak. You're using that to withstand structural expansion and contraction. The coating that's going over top to restore is simply to stop the UV deterioration so it doesn't get any worse and extend that life out until something more long-term can be done. Now, restorations are great because, like the analogy before, it kind of, instead of kicking the can, you kind of pick it up and you walk with it for a little bit, right? You wrap it, you kind of protect it until you get to another point down the road. So a restoration is really great in some situations, but it's important to know that it's not a new membrane. You're not getting a brand new roof if you're just coating with acrylic silicone. So what is a restoration product? Typically, that's going to be acrylic, silicone, some polyurethanes, SEBS, Triton. One of our companies, we manufacture acrylics, we manufacture polyurethanes and hybrid polymer coatings that can be used just as a restoration. 20 mil, 30 mil, 40 mil dry max. We're talking about like a sheet of paper thickness, protecting the existing roof and extending its life. Oftentimes they're going to be white, so they're going to be reflected. They give you those cool roof properties as far as helping reduce the heat transfer. So there's a lot of benefits in a restoration, but it's important to know what you get with that R. So the next R is recover. So recover would be leaving the existing roof in place, which to focus on that for a second. What's the other benefit of a restoration and also a recover? When you don't have to tear off the existing roof, what benefits do you get? You avoid the cost of tearing the entire roof off and putting all new insulation, maybe patching or new decking, cover board, new membrane. It's a lot less expensive. You save money. Big win. What's the other advantage? All that waste you avoid. All of that material isn't going to the landfill and sitting there forever and ever. You're not creating all that waste that has other environmental and economic impacts. And the other point, the other advantage, the other win is you avoid the disruption. So think back to the beginning. You're that maintenance person on that plant. You're tearing the whole roof off. It's noisy. You've got debris falling through. You're opening the roof up. There's just a lot going on with a roof tear off. You avoid the disruption. That can also result in financial savings as well. So why are restorations and recovers being promoted so much in this industry? It's because of those three things. When you avoid a tear off, you save money, you avoid the disruption, and you avoid the waste. So a recover, like a restoration, it leaves the existing roof in place. Now, you may have to make repairs. You may have wet insulation that needs to be torn off. In any of these situations, you don't want to leave wet insulation in a roof. Why? If you got a steel deck, it's going to continue to cause rust and corrosion. You could be building mold and mildew, which is going to create a safety hazard for the occupants inside of the building. We don't want those, so that needs to be addressed no matter what the situation here. But a recover leaves the existing roof and puts a new membrane over top. So we're not just protecting the old one, we're putting a new one on. And so this could be with a sheet, a single ply membrane that comes in a roll, and the contractor is going to roll it out over the old roof and essentially either screw it down, glue it down, something like that. So you have a new membrane, thick, durable, pliable, water resistant, has all the properties of a membrane, of a skin, but you don't have to tear the old one off. Another word could be overlay. You're overlaying the existing roof with a new membrane. And then you have liquid applied recovers, where you're putting a new liquid applied membrane over the existing roof. Again, thick, durable, flexible, impermeable. So typically with us, we're talking about 60 mil dry, 80 mil dry minimum over the existing. Now the benefit of doing a liquid recover is that you're still using the old roof to your advantage, because say you have let's say you have a 240 mil mod bit roof, total thickness, and then you add 80 mils on top of that directly. Now you've got 320 mils of waterproofing working together. That's durable. That's puncture resistant. That's hail resistant. If you take that 240 mils, you lay over a TPO membrane and you screw it down, all those screws are going through that old 240 mils. That's useless, because if that 60 mil layer leaks, the water will travel through those fasteners right into the building. So you're overlaying, you're avoiding the tear off, but you're not using the existing roof to your advantage. The benefit of a liquid applied recover is you can use the existing roof to your advantage. So a liquid applied membrane would be a thermoset rubber like the Triton product that we produce, polyurethane, polyureas. There's different technologies out there as far as liquid applied membrane systems that are impermeable, highly flexible, high tensile strength. They meet the properties of a membrane like you would get in a rolled product. And then TPOs, PVCs, EPDMs, fleece back, non-fleece back. There's a variety of ways to put them over the existing roof without tearing it off. So that's the third R, that's recover. The fourth, it's probably obvious at this point, but it's like back to that maintenance manager. We got to tear this roof off. We need a new roof. And some situations, the roof system is at a point to where you don't have any other option except the most expensive route. And we're increasing here from least expensive to most. That most expensive option is tear it off. So tear it off, down to the deck, build all new. You have to meet building code in that situation. So if you have an R15 roof now and you're in an R30 building zone now, you may have to raise the heights of the curbs. You may have to raise the heights of the walls. So your cost is really going to escalate, again, which is why the recovers and restorations are so popular. But if your roof is at a point to where you need to tear it off, you have structural decking issues, you have a lot of wet insulation. I typically say if you take the whole area, say you have a 100,000 square foot roof, and more than 30,000 square feet, so more than 30% of that whole roof area has wet insulation, you're not going to see a financial advantage to just tearing out those sections of that 30-40% and then recovering it. At that point, you might as well tear the whole thing off, start over, whole new roof assembly going up. So a replacement is going to be disruptive. It's going to be your most expensive option, and it's going to create that waste. But in some situations, it is the best thing. Maybe you have condensation issues. You need additional R value, which with a recover, you can increase your R value before you put that new membrane on. That is an option as well. There are so many different scenarios and options within these four categories of things that you can do with an existing roof. We're just highlighting them at a bird's eye view right now. Replacement, what do you replace it with? We could spend hours talking about that. Do we use single ply? Do we use two ply modified? Do an asphalt built up roof? Do we do a liquid applied system? Coverboard, no coverboard? What kind? What kind of insulation? The options are endless, and there's good, there's bad, there's in between, cost ranges, but replacement, that's obviously your most expensive option. So your 4 R's: repair, restore, recover, replace. Least expensive to most expensive. Not every building is the same. Not every roof is the same. But if you're looking up at leaks, if you're walking across that roof and something needs to be done, it's best to consult with somebody that absolutely has the expertise and the knowledge for to look at that particular roof and say, this is what you need to do. I wouldn't trust somebody to tell my friend what to do. If they go to a doctor because they have a heart condition, they say, hey, here's what you need to do because of your heart condition. I don't expect that doctor to come to me and say, hey, because your friend has the same heart condition, you should do the same thing. That's not the way this works. Same thing in the roofing industry. This building here is not the same as the next one. Every situation is different. Consult with your professionals, everybody. We're here to help. I'm here to help. Thanks for listening.